You're listening to KOUG Radio. Listen live online at KOUGradio.org.
All right, here we are. Welcome to Movie Talks with Griffin and Eric.
We got cameras now.
We got cameras now, yeah.
Cameras.
It's our third recording.
Yeah, third recording.
First with cameras, obviously.
Mhm.
Second recording involving Star Wars.
Yeah.
Tell us about what we're going to be talking about today.
We're going to be covering the prequel trilogy. Phantom Menace. I almost said Phantom Revenge.
Yeah.
Of
Phantom
you.
Menace.
Phantom Menace. He didn't know the
episode
name.
1.
Attack of the Clones, episode 2, and then Revenge of the Sith, episode 3.
Yep. We're going to talk about the whole trilogy, the whole prequel trilogy.
Mhm.
If you haven't listened to it, go back and watch our review and debate on
The original trilogy? Yeah.
those three movies there. And then later, in a week or so, we're going to be talking about sequel trilogy.
Yeah, we are.
Which will get spicy. But I think we'll have the most common ground here today.
Here? Probably, yeah. Probably.
That's what I'm thinking. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. So for the Phantom Menace
Menace,
is what
yes.
it's called. Just the whole trilogy in general.
Mhm.
How much have you seen of it?
I have watched each movie at least 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
Mhm.
I would probably say I've probably seen each movie at least 5 times.
Okay.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Got it right. Episode 3. That one I've probably seen upwards to over 10 times probably.
Yeah, I've probably seen that one the most as well.
Just watching it. I mean, like I think I mentioned this in the last episode where my parents would turn it off at the last 30 minutes because it's too gory. Including those, it's probably over 10.
Yeah.
So I've definitely grew up on those movies well over the original trilogy.
I definitely grew up on the original trilogy probably a little bit more.
I doubt I watched them in theaters. Obviously, Phantom Menace, we were not alive. But the other two, we were alive, but we were
Like
way too young
2 or
to watch
3,
it.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not. There's no way.
But we were alive when they released.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the ones we were alive for the theaters were the sequels. So,
But, yeah, I've also played a bunch of video games. I remember Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star
Yeah,
Wars.
yeah.
So there's different Lego Star Wars games, right? But I
Yes.
played the Lego Star Wars games that were based on the prequels.
I think we did that in like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, we played Indiana Jones too, but there has been the original
Mhm.
trilogy.
Yeah. I think I played those on the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance,
Yeah.
way back in the day. Yeah.
But I remember playing through the scenes as much as I remember watching the movies.
Mhm.
So my perception of the movies is different because of that.
Interesting. I'd say my perception of the movies is different because the Clone Wars TV show. But
Clone Wars TV. Did you watch the Clone Wars? If you don't know what the Clone Wars TV show is, it's an animated TV show that came out just after
2008.
Revenge.
2008.
Yeah, a little bit after
The movie came out in
episode.
2008, I think, and then the
Okay.
show started in like 2009.
Okay, yeah, a little bit
Uh-huh.
after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So it's after the 3 movies were done, but before any of the new movies.
Yes.
And it takes place during that time era with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Mhm.
And
Takes
then-
place between episodes 2 and episodes 3.
Mhm.
Or episode 2 and 3. And kind of fills in a lot of the gaps.
Yeah.
That was
Introduces new
left.
characters.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So are you able to look at the prequels without the perception of the TV show at
Oh
all?
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
are? Okay.
Yeah, because I know exactly what the TV show added to it.
That's
so
true.
yeah.
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 Did you watch it when it came out? Were you kind of up to date?
The show?
The
Oh yeah.
show.
Yeah.
2009.
I was watching it air on like Cartoon Network up until I think season 3 or 4.
Okay. That's interesting how
Um,
you never invited me to watch any of those shows.
I think it was just on in the mornings, and
Okay,
I just
yeah,
watched them
yeah.
in the mornings.
I mean, we watched a lot of Cartoon Network shows, but never that one together.
Yeah, well, I mean, we mainly did like regular show.
Yeah, regular show. Yep.
Yeah.
I watched the shows a lot more recently.
Mhm.
I actually don't think I didn't even start the show until the last season came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Dang. That's wild.
Yeah. So that show while it does take place in that time era and everything, for me, nostalgically, is not there at all.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see past the TV show to look at the movies as a standalone trilogy.
Yeah.
A lot more than
They
maybe other people can, like you who've watched it when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Let's talk about the first episode. I got it.
Do you?
It's The Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Yep.
I know it. I don't know
Do
why
you
you're giving me that look. The Phantom Menace,
Phantom Menace.
Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
Yep. You
Episode
got them all
1,
right.
2, and 3.
Next first time today.
First time today. First time only recording too. So.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so Phantom Menace. Initial thoughts. Overall,
I like it. I
Okay.
like the Phantom Menace.
okay.
Mhm.
Out of the trilogy,
Uh,
I know we haven't talked about it a whole lot recently.
probably number 2 for me.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, I would also put that at number 2.
Yeah.
But I like every movie.
I don't.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the one that you don't like in a second. I know exactly, obviously, which it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, young Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Anakin's my favorite Star Wars character ever. Might be my favorite movie character ever.
No, that's fair. That's
so
fair.
I'm pretty biased when he shows up in a movie or show or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked how it went back to him as, what was he, 9 years old?
Yeah, as
Something
the
like that.
kid from with Jingle All the Way.
Oh, is he in
The
that?
kid, yeah, he's the kid in Jingle All the Way.
Okay. How'd you feel about? Because we know, obviously he turns into Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And we know everything about that. How do you feel? Do you think they foreshadowed that enough? Maybe not in this movie. I think they definitely did in the next few movies. But
yeah, well, this one I don't think they needed to.
Okay.
Because it's just introducing the character, and he's just this kid. And obviously, we know Anakin was like this great Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Did Ryan watch it with Jared through the first time, or was it?
So we heard Is that what you're saying?
The movie watch order. So like you watch
they did
episodes
4, 5, 1, 2, 3, then 6.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
I was thinking of something else.
Okay.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
we can go on. We know how he becomes a powerful Jedi, and so I think they're just introducing him as a character. I don't think they need to do anything in terms of foreshadowing there.
Okay.
Nor do I really think they did, other than just foreshadowing that he's very strong with the Force.
Yeah, they might have had some real deep cut stuff, some really hidden Easter egg. They might have. There's one thing like his shadow is the outline of Vader or something like that. But
maybe
that's not
people. That might be people looking too far into it.
It might be. But he meets his partner, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Young Obi-Wan. I don't know how old he's supposed to be.
Probably like
Early
18, 19,
You
maybe
think?
early 20s.
Early 20s is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Obi-Wan. What do you think of Obi-Wan? Like, what do you think of him as a character? I feel like I need to ask.
I think it's kind of funny seeing Obi-Wan he's honestly just like a watered down Anakin, it feels like to me. Obviously different characters, but in terms of like he's much more disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as skilled, but he still has that like rash kind of confidence, it seems, that Anakin has when he's Obi-Wan's apprentice.
Yeah.
So I always think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. I like that. Obi-Wan to me is just a side character in Anakin's story.
Kinda.
For me, I
don't know if I agree with that.
How I see him in the movies
Mhm.
is like that. I feel like he doesn't have a whole lot of story points in the movies to really go off of. I mean, obviously his master dies.
Yeah.
And there's that. And then he becomes the master to Anakin pretty soon, I think.
I mean, he just takes him as his apprentice, basically. Yeah.
But I feel like it was really Anakin's story that was being told.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him as like side character though.
He was a main character, but for Anakin's story.
Yeah. I mean, none of the Star Wars stories are about Obi-Wan except for like some new stuff.
Yeah, like the TV show.
Yeah.
But even then, it was focusing on, I feel like, a lot of other characters.
Yeah, that didn't need to be there.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about movies.
Yep. We'll cover that at a later date, probably. We'll see.
So we talked about C-3PO in
Yeah.
the originals
Yeah,
as
we did.
being kind of the comic relief.
Mhm.
What do you think of the comic relief in this movie? Good old
Jar Jar?
Yeah.
God. He's definitely not as annoying, I think, as people make him out to be.
Mhm.
But at the same time, that dude could have not been in the movie, and I would have been
Okay.
totally happy with it. Or he could have just been a random Gungan that showed up at the very beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
took him down to the Gungan tribe, and then that happens.
Okay.
I don't think he needed to be how he was.
Okay. See, I like him because everyone around him
Mhm.
is just so serious, and they just like,
I think everyone around him is just as annoyed
yeah,
with
they're
him
so
as
annoyed,
we are
which
with
I
him.
like. It makes sense that they're annoyed.
I would hope they're annoyed.
If we're annoyed, they should be annoyed too.
Yeah, but also, why do we need to be annoyed?
I don't know, for some humor.
That's not funny.
I think it's a little bit. I think some of his scenes are funny,
Maybe like
especially
1
when
out
I
of
was
10.
young. When I was young, he cracked me up, and I still think because the comedy in nowadays Star Wars, right, is very on the nose.
Just Marvel quips.
Marvel quips.
So tired of it.
But I feel like with Jar Jar, it was more. I don't know. It just felt more natural. Don't you think?
I mean, yeah, it didn't feel forced, I would say, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know about natural. I don't know. I feel like it was a step back in terms of the comedy for Star Wars.
Okay.
I'd probably prefer the C-3PO stuff over him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I feel like this whole trilogy is so different.
Each
From the
movie is
original.
completely different.
Yeah.
And it all from the OT as well.
Yeah, each trilogy I feel like has their own theme, has their own whole not story, obviously different stories.
Yeah.
But a whole different genre.
Mhm.
It kind of feels like. I mean, they're all made 20 plus years apart.
Pretty much.
So they're all
yeah.
going to be very different. But Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn,
Mhm.
I've really liked Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon's great. I love Qui-Gon.
I
Yeah.
think-
No, I completely agree.
I think if I had to pick maybe one in the entire Star Wars, I think his acting
Mhm.
in that movie, I think I like the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's Liam Neeson, though.
I mean, it's
so,
Liam
like,
Neeson. You
of
can't
course,
go
he's
wrong
going to
with
be
Liam Neeson.
good.
Yeah, but I just feel like he fit the character the best.
Yeah, I can't see anyone else playing him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was like old, wise, but he wasn't like Yoda. You
No.
know? He wasn't,
No.
following by the rules. He was like old. I feel like he was old Anakin if Anakin didn't turn.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
I don't think Anakin would have had that wisdom.
Okay. See, I think he would have.
I don't think he would have.
Because he wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have all the anger, all of that. He would have. I feel like kept his. He would have gained wisdom instead of all the anger that he got.
See, the thing with Anakin is he just couldn't cope with emotions, period.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd have to learn to cope with emotions before he could even start trying.
Yeah,
to
but
be wise.
if he didn't turn evil, he would have been able to deal with his emotions.
Right?
Right.
Well, he turned evil because he was scared Padme was gonna die, right?
Well,
And-
yes. I think there was a lot of build up to that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what tipped him over.
Yeah. But I don't think like the way out of that would have been saving her from that fate, really.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been him dealing with those emotions.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think he would have ever had that development.
Okay.
But we don't know because he turned.
Yeah,
So.
obviously. The movie we talked about this, the use of CGI.
Yeah. I know the original didn't have as much.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
there's
a version out there where Yoda's a puppet still.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the original cut.
But I'm pretty sure it still had pretty heavy CGI in it. And then the version everyone watches nowadays anyway is heavily,
Yes.
like there's a bunch of CG
There's a
everywhere.
good amount of CGI that I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, it's not the best, but it is their early, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of forgivable in a way.
I think
could
they
have laid off
overdid
it a
it. They
bit.
could have used some practical effects here and there over.
Yeah.
I think Jar Jar looked fine.
Jar Jar he looked okay. Yeah.
It wasn't like, I mean, you knew he was CGI.
I think the droids could have used a little work.
The droids?
Yeah, the droids were a little like rubbery.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if that's the word for it.
The landscape.
Also,
too.
the scene where they go to force speed.
Oh yeah.
Just the lightsabers. Yeah.
So CGI, not the greatest, but they improved each movie, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what do you think about the, I guess you call him the villain of the movie, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul? I mean, Maul's cool.
I mean, think of him, yeah, just in the movie.
Yeah. I think Maul in the movie is just kind of there.
Yeah. He's just there to be
a villain.
There's
not really much reason for him to be there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there is, I guess. They're foreshadowing like, hey, there's a Sith Lord out there, kind of thing.
Like I think this line at the end of the movie was something like, it's something about like there's always two, a master and an apprentice.
Yeah. Which one did we just kill?
Yeah.
And I feel like they should have been like, probably the apprentice. Obi-Wan killed them.
Yeah.
But I think
he did kill Qui-Gon.
Yeah, but Qui-Gon was old.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I'm not a huge. I don't know a whole lot about like, stuff that happened prior to those movies a whole lot. But I mean, they hadn't seen a Sith in a really long time, right? So they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I mean, a Sith kills one of their oldest Jedis. They're probably they might think it's the master.
Right, but then for me, then if Obi-Wan then bests him, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe it's either the Sith aren't that strong or that was the apprentice.
Yeah.
So,
but it turned out it was the apprentice.
Yeah. I think Maul served his purpose. Great fight, great music.
Oh, great music. Yeah, the score was incredible.
Easily the best part of the movie. Because it kind of drags at times, I feel like.
Okay.
I do like the pod racing scene.
Pod racing was good. Very iconic.
Yeah.
So iconic. Yeah.
And then obviously the ending fight, good.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of in between that is just kind of that I don't even remember very much of.
Wait,
that
so
is just kind of
near the end of the movie, what do you think about Anakin hopping in the Naboo Starfighter? Starfighter, and
that's a little far in my opinion.
And just owning them.
Yeah. I'll try spinning. That's a neat trick. Spins, takes out like 5 fighters or whatever.
I think that was
and then blows up the thing. Yeah.
A little childish goofiness that they used just for him to show that he's a natural.
Yeah.
I think it drove his plot a little bit more to show that he was a natural, but the way they showed it, I mean, he was really good at pod racing. You could say pod racing, yes. It's just pod racing in space.
Kinda,
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know how similar controls are or anything like that. And there's also no gravity in space.
He had R2.
He did have R2.
Probably helping him.
Probably.
You know?
R2 autopilot.
It was R2 the entire time.
The only reason the pilots that have R2 are so good is because R2 is just a goated pilot and they just they don't do anything.
Yeah. You think it's Anakin doing that, but it's just R2 the entire time.
No, it's R2 driving the thing.
That would be so funny if that came out to be true.
Yeah, it could have been R2. You never know.
I mean, I think he helped. I mean, I'm sure there were some scenes where he gave him some instructions. I don't remember exactly.
Probably, yeah.
But in all, I really liked the movie.
I liked
one
it
of my
too,
favorite Star Wars movies.
I don't know if I'd have to think about it.
Okay,
but it's probably up there above some other stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Top 5 for me.
It's definitely not bottom.
Okay, yeah, it's top 5 for me. I probably think we're gonna be doing a tier list in a few weeks.
Probably at the end of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, we'll do a tier list just so we can
all the movies.
And since we've talked for 3 hours before it, about it, we'll have a better understanding of our preferences for Star Wars movies after that.
Yeah, and who's right and wrong.
Yeah, but because we've talked in the past, and a lot of that's in the spur of the moment stuff.
Yeah.
But after, discussing each movie, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I want to go to the next movie.
Sure. What is it?
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike probably didn't catch that.
No,
but I said
it.
Attack of the Clones.
What did I'll ask your thoughts on Attack of the Clones because I kind of know your thoughts on Attack of the Clones. Go ahead.
I don't know if you do.
I think I do. Go on.
No, ask me. What? Just my general thoughts?
What are your general thoughts on it? Do you like
I
the
like
movie?
it.
Yeah.
For a Star Wars movie, I think it's for a movie of its time. I think it's pretty good. But I need to treat this trilogy as best as I can, equal to how I treated the original trilogy. Because the original trilogy I treated like, oh, yes, it was made in the 80s, but you gotta keep up with 2023 standards a little bit. Now I'm still saying that these movies are outdated, right? But it's not about the quality of the production. It's about the quality of the content. And I think the quality of the content of Attack of the Clones is pretty good.
See, that's where we differ hard. Because I think Attack of the Clones has like maybe 40 minutes of good stuff in it.
Okay.
I think the Obi-Wan stuff on Kamino, good.
Yeah.
I think the what was it called? Man, why am I blanking on the name? What are they called? The bug people.
Yeah.
Geonosians. On Geonosia, I think the Geonosia stuff was good.
Okay.
That's
like
when
good about the movie.
When the clones come in and they're like,
the actual start of the war.
Yeah, I think the Anakin Dooku fight is awful.
Anakin Dooku, you don't like that?
Anakin Dooku, dude, half the fight, it's like just panning between their faces, and it's just, woo, woo, woo. We can go back and watch it eventually. The Yoda Dooku fight's good.
Well, that's the same fight.
Not really.
How's that not the same fight?
Anakin's down and out, getting his arm chopped off.
Yeah. But it's the it's kind of
you got Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku, and then you have Yoda versus
immediately
Dooku.
after.
Yeah, but
they're in the same room, right?
And the first fight ended. Yeah, they're in the same room. It's not the same fight though. Completely different.
Okay.
Completely different.
Yeah.
I think the writing and dialogue in this movie is not good.
Okay. I've talked about this to multiple people multiple times. So this movie was on TV the other day.
Oh, was it really?
It was. Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
And my dad was watching it. And there were some scenes
I don't
like
Naboo. Sand.
Yeah, some of those scenes. And he was talking about how he doesn't think the chemistry between Anakin and Padme was there.
No.
In episode 2.
No, it kind of felt like a stalker, honestly.
Yeah. And in episode 1, when he was 9 years old and she was 14, there was more chemistry.
Yeah.
But I think that was on purpose. I like that.
So weird.
So, okay, let me explain. Okay. So, in episode 1, right, he's a little kid.
Yeah.
Who sees an angel, right?
Yeah.
And he tries to sweet talk her. Obviously, she's not going for him.
Yeah.
But it was cute. It's kind of like when a small kid sees like a pretty woman or something, like, oh, you're pretty.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But then in the next movie, he's actually like of age.
Yeah.
But in between those two movies, he's been sectioned off from attachment, from women, right?
Yeah.
From anything that he, from all of that. He's been told you can't love anyone.
Yeah.
You can't, took you away from your mom. We're not going to let you have a partner or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, then finally, he shows up and he sees the one beautiful woman he saw when he was a kid. And he wants to be with her, but he's just so awkward at this point.
Yeah.
He's only talked to Obi-Wan and probably a bunch of different aliens at this point and clones.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not clones.
Not clones yet. Just Jedi and people.
Yeah. That he just doesn't know how to smooth talk.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you got Padme's side, who was Queen. She's senator at this point?
She is a senator.
At this point?
I think so. Also, this does beg one question to me. So do Anakin and Padme get together pretty much immediately after episode 2?
So, okay. So during episode 2, let me continue my thing because it'll come to it.
Okay.
During episode 2, And I also just rewatched this movie a little bit, some scenes of it, so I remember more. During the episode or the movie, you have Anakin being tasked to protect her, right? Because he comes in contact with her.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, like, hi, how's it going?
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, typical Anakin awkward stuff. And then I believe it was Chancellor. Is he Chancellor? Yeah, Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah, I think he was Chancellor at this point.
I think he was kind of pulling some strings.
Or they were trying to elect him.
One of the two.
They might have been trying to elect him. I can't remember.
Okay. But I know he was pulling the strings, I believe, of the Jedi a little bit.
Yeah.
So that Anakin would be assigned to Padme.
Maybe.
I believe that is to be true.
He might have been like, why don't you have Anakin do this? He's so reliable.
Yeah, because he knew Anakin's going to want to be with her. So we're going to assign him to protect Padme, go to her home palace, just those two, just to protect her is what the mission was. Yeah. But he obviously was setting him up to fall in love with Padme.
Well, right.
Which was ultimately the reason that Anakin turned. It was all a...
Well, yeah, he was groomed.
Straight groomed. It was all a coup by Chancellor Palpatine.
The whole series, he was groomed. Which, yeah.
I love the story. I love the story.
Here's the thing. That's not like specifically the story of the movie, really. If that makes sense.
I mean, I think the movie's main plot is Anakin. That's like the overall
Star Wars story.
I think the movie's main plot is Anakin's story.
Kinda, yeah. Kinda. Not necessarily Anakin specifically.
Okay.
More like the Skywalkers family.
Yeah.
But I think that whether or not it was intentional, that awkwardness, it didn't work.
Okay.
I don't think it worked at all.
Well, okay, but yes, they were awkward. Because Padme looks at it as she probably didn't have a whole lot of attachment.
Yeah.
As well growing up. I mean, she was queen for most of her life.
Yeah.
I think coming up to this. Then she was senator. She probably didn't have any. And then the little boy's finally grown up or whatever. She likes him. Then they're forced to go together. I think those two not knowing how to be with someone, I liked it. I was like, both of them were awkward.
Yeah. I feel like she was just uncomfortable. Because he was, dude.
You feel like
he was like laying it on thick. And she was just like not having it. And he didn't care.
Yeah.
It was a little creepy.
I think she was having it.
Maybe a little bit towards the end. But it didn't feel like it progressed naturally.
Interesting.
It felt like he was just creepy. She was uncomfortable. He continued to be creepy. She was uncomfortable. He murdered a bunch of children. She's like, "Oh, I'm here for you." And then they're having a nice date in the grass. I don't know. I don't know if that's how things happen in that order, but it definitely didn't feel right.
Well, so they were on Naboo, was where she was sent to be safe.
Yeah, that's right. And then they went to
and then because he got the vision of his mom being captured, so he's like, I have to go to Tatooine. I have to go find my mom.
Yeah.
Then they go together.
Yeah.
And then that's when he meets with his uncle and his cousin. I don't remember. No, it was stepdad. Yeah, stepdad and stepbrother.
Yeah,
I think
his uncle was a stepbrother.
Yeah, I don't know if you could really consider his stepmom, but no. But yeah, he goes there, and then it happens. His mom dies. Couldn't save her.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the big moments that he turned.
Well, yeah, he slaughtered a whole village.
Yeah, capturing his mom.
Yeah.
It was kind of justified.
Self-defense, they do the same thing to each other and others.
I mean, so he was a slave, right?
Yeah.
Up until he left. And his mom was a slave, as far as I know, her entire life.
Yeah, I don't think she was a slave when she died.
Well, no, she got Anakin's stepdad bought her and married her.
Oh, okay.
So it was like she still bought.
It was like,
but I think that was that was genuine though.
Maybe, yeah. I have no idea.
But then she got captured.
Yeah,
and put back in prison, pretty much. But this was a lot more brutal, obviously.
Yeah.
When she was a slave, she'd actually like work and stuff.
I would like to see Anakin slaughter all those kids again, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the first time he'll do it.
And then the Dooku fight near the end.
Or the only time.
What?
It's not the only time he's gonna do it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I really like Anakin's story a lot.
I mean, Anakin's story itself is good, but I just don't think the second movie is specifically Anakin's story. I think it's just a part of it, and I think the way they do it isn't very good.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you really like the Obi-Wan stuff not on Tatooine, on
Camino.
Camino.
Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze.
And
Ooh,
I that was my least favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah. I know you said
You're
was your
uncovering the secret of like who this bounty hunter is, and
but once
like,
I know
what's going on.
Once I know the secret once, I really need to
Right,
watch
but
it
like once I
again.
know Anakin doesn't like sand once, do I need to hear that line again? You know?
See, but I think you watch the lines over and over, and you see the development.
I don't think we
Okay.
do.
Okay, well, I do. I don't know what
It feels like
do.
all of Anakin's character development happens off screen. It feels like he's the same person, aside from episode 3, it feels like he's the same person throughout the entire movie. And then we get to episode 3 and he's a different person. We don't see any of that development happen in the second movie.
Okay. Well, we
do see that development in Clone Wars.
We do see the development,
which makes me like the prequels more than I did beforehand.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, like I said, I feel like they didn't give Obi-Wan enough to do, or enough about him.
I don't think we necessarily needed that though.
I mean, it.
He was kind of, he was a Jedi Master or Jedi.
Yeah.
No, he's a Knight. He wasn't a Master yet.
Yeah, Knight.
He was a Jedi Knight, and he was sent on a mission, a Jedi mission to go figure out what was going on. Like, hey, Dooku's being weird, Sifo Dyas, whatever, blah blah blah. There's this bounty hunter, Jango Fett. I don't know if he knew it was Jango Fett at the time. He had suspicions, I think.
No, yeah, he definitely had.
And then he goes to Camino, and we start learning, kind of like uncovering this mystery that has been around, kind of.
I like the mystery of the clones, and I liked how that worked out. About the clones and and how they're just kind of like they were kind of like a secret army that rose up. But I don't know. I feel like they should have given Obi-Wan more personal stuff.
I mean, I would not have been sad if they had taken some away from Anakin and Padme's time and given it to Obi-Wan. That would have been totally fine with me.
Or make the movie longer. I don't care.
I don't think the movie needs to be longer. This is one of the times I think the movie could lose like 20 minutes.
Okay. But yeah, I would have liked if they would have gone more into Obi-Wan's personal stuff. I know they do in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which is some wrongs that they righted.
Yeah.
In the TV show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have wanted to see.
Yeah. I also
good action scenes though.
Want to address people's opinions of I think I said it last episode, maybe not. People's opinions of Yoda in the prequels.
Okay.
People did not like Yoda.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because they're small brains.
Okay.
It's
why
are
you call them small brains?
Because the primary argument is like, well, this isn't what Yoda's all about. Basically. And they're not thinking because these take place before the original trilogy.
Yeah.
When Yoda when he went through his character development, he exiled himself and then went through all this development on his own on Dagobah.
Yeah.
And so his values changed. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one value that
I mentioned the
change.
attachment thing. He didn't change.
That didn't change. Yeah.
No, I still think he's dumb for that. Because that's the whole reason Anakin turned.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, no, we definitely don't want attachment still. It's okay, well, what if you do develop attachment? Don't develop it. Okay, but I've developed attachment. Get rid of it. It's just like pushing things away and ignoring
do you
problems.
think that Yoda found out the mistake of where he let the attachment happen?
Maybe.
For
but
Anakin?
even then, like, you can't control every single Jedi and who they're hanging out with and their emotions and stuff. I mean, that just gets into Sith territory at that point.
Yeah.
You know? So I think people didn't like the Jedi either because of how like selfish and
political
they're
supposed to be.
And yeah, exactly. They're supposed to be.
Which is why I really like them.
You know, I hate Jedi. I don't like them at all.
Because there's there's good sides and bad sides to them, just like every government, really, or government agency.
Yeah, I mean, I should clarify. I don't like the Jedi because of those things, but it's not because I have this idea of what they should be.
Yeah, I don't think they're...
I just think they're an annoying cult.
Okay.
That's how I feel about them.
As a watcher, right? As a story, as a thing in a story, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As, do I like their morals, all that? No.
I disagree with them on so many levels.
Yeah. But I mean, you do with everyone at some point. Which is why they did just such a great job about how you feel for Anakin. Right?
Do you though?
I think you do.
I don't really think I feel anything for Anakin during the second episode.
During the second episode?
No. Third one maybe, but not the second.
Okay. But
I do also want to say Hayden Christensen didn't play Anakin bad in any of these movies. It's just George Lucas cannot write dialogue. He can't do it. I love the guy, but he can't do it.
We'll see. I mean, I think his awkward dialogue was to show that he was an awkward teen.
Again, that might have been the intention, but I don't think it worked the way it was done.
How are you going to expect a 19-year-old kid, a 19-year-old who hasn't had really any emotional attachment to anyone in the past 10 years?
Yeah.
How are you expecting him to be like this smooth talker, bringing out like insane Shakespearean romance lines?
I mean, that's not necessarily, I don't think that's what we're expecting, but
what are you expecting then?
I feel like he could have toned down the creep by like 10. Okay. Because like there's being awkward and not knowing what to say, and then there's being awkward and being
stalker,
it felt really off.
Okay.
Like if that was my daughter in the room, I'd be sitting there, hand on a shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see that. I see that. And that might be because he never really had a father figure either.
Maybe.
He doesn't know how to do anything, right? Except kill droids.
Yeah. Loves killing droids.
Mm-hmm. But let's get on to the next movie. How about
Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really like this movie.
Favorite Star Wars movie by far.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's up in like top one or two. Easily.
Sorry, I spoiled the tier list about my favorite, but yeah, definitely this movie.
I do want to say the thing that made me watch the prequels again somewhat recently was all of the memes from them, and they enhanced the experience by a lot. They're fun.
Well, so something I didn't know until somewhat recently was that the original trilogy to the public, and I think to like Star Wars fans, did not go over well when they first released.
No, they didn't. And so I kind of have something to say on that. The OG generation grew up with the original trilogy.
Yep.
Then our generation grew up with the prequels, which are now being considered not as bad.
Yes.
And then the new generation is growing up with the sequels, which have a lot of flack and hate on them, just as the prequels did when we were born. And I have a feeling in another 20 years, they're going to be like, oh, they weren't that bad.
They weren't that bad.
They're awful. Let me tell you, they're bad. Don't watch them.
Well, you sound just like the people who watched the original trilogies in the 80s talking about the prequels right now.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
So in 20 years' time, we're going to come back to this video.
No.
The problems with the sequels, the public perception
here's
of these
the thing
movies.
With the sequels, though. The sequels have like glaring issues that the prequels do not have. The prequels have the issue the CGI is a little wonky. The
different
writing,
issues,
the writing and stuff isn't always there.
Yeah.
And the character development from movie to movie is a little too much of a jump, right? Plus some little things like Jar Jar and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, there were pretty significant time skips.
Yeah.
More than any other movies.
Yeah. And then the sequels have other glaring issues, which I will get into.
We will get into those.
Next episode.
Don't worry about that.
But
let's talk about this incredible movie first.
Yeah.
I think this movie definitely paved the way for my interests in sci-fi fantasy. It was like the movie that I grew up on. I felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously more movies that I'd say I probably enjoy more. But this is up there.
I mean, this is a long one.
It's a long movie.
It's a long movie.
It's pretty long. My most recent rewatch, what I was surprised about was how Order 66 happens just after halfway. I think.
I would have loved to see more of Order 66.
I
know
too.
everyone did because Disney's throwing in Order 66 stuff into like everything.
Every TV show a little bit.
It is forced in every show at one point.
Yeah.
And I feel like it doesn't need to be. Like I think Mandalorian
I'll
just had Order
I'll
66.
still keep them.
I have no idea. I haven't
still love
caught
them.
up.
Show me every planet, every part of the war. What happened at Order 66?
Yeah, see, I want to see more of Anakin just going in there and just murking people.
That's what I want to see too.
I want to see him kill the kids. I want to see him kill all of the Jedi. I want to see it all. But I think the only time we got that was in the Obi-Wan TV show when he stabbed Reva and then just didn't finish her off for some reason. Yeah.
But we got a little bit of that in this movie. I believe
a little bit.
Hologram that Obi-Wan and Bail Organa were looking at.
No, it was Obi-Wan and Yoda, I think.
Was it Yoda?
Yeah, because Yoda was like, only pain you will find. And then he opened it up and he was like, yeah.
But it was
terrible
a little,
Yoda voice, sorry.
It was a quick fight.
It was like 3 seconds.
It just showed him killing some Jedis, I believe.
I don't even think they had names.
No.
They might have been. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the scene. I think the CG in this movie is much better.
Yes.
I still think the droids are just, they look a little weird.
The droids, I don't really mind. There weren't many droids in this movie. There was a decent amount at the beginning.
Yeah, there's not that many.
The clones, I'm not a huge fan that they CGI'd all of them.
Yeah. The clones look a little weird.
You can tell that they're
Definitely.
CGI'd.
Yeah.
But I think...
But I mean, they're interacting with other CG objects.
Yeah. Sure.
So, but then again, nowadays it would look a lot better, but you can't really hold that against them.
Yeah. But I mean, I could go in depth to each scene, but I mean, each scene is great. Like the starting scene, it's the air battle.
Yeah, over Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spaceship battle. I think they're still technically. I think they're pretty much in the atmosphere somewhat.
Oh, yeah, no, I think they're pretty much in. I think they're right above the city. I think the battle scales from like in atmosphere up into actually space.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that scene is incredible.
It's a great opening scene.
It really
Super
shows, I guess, we talked about this last time, the 3D aspect of space.
I think that's the one battle where ships are not just like acting like they're on water, like Navy ships. They're actually kind of flip-flopped around all over the place.
And it's a good introduction to the new Anakin.
Yep, much more confident. He's way better with words.
Yeah.
He has learned and developed a lot for reasons that we've seen in Clone Wars. Great. Love it. Perfect. Except for the first like 2 seasons. But they're important. And then Obi-Wan kind of I like seeing the relationship of them more as brothers rather than like father raising this angsty teen.
Okay.
I do like the Dooku Anakin fight.
You like this one?
I do like it.
Okay.
It's still not like crazy
Dooku, Anakin,
good.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan gets like one shot.
Droids.
He's
in it for a little bit. There were some droids too.
Yeah.
But I really like this fight. This lightsaber fight, or this duel. Not my favorite of the series or even the movie.
No.
But it was still pretty good.
It's more for the story aspect. I think I like it a bit more.
Yeah.
But again, in terms of like, fight choreography and stuff, it's good.
And then I mean, then you got the memes. Do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's good. I do find it funny, kind of how Palpatine was just like, "Oh yeah, just leave Obi-Wan to die," and Anakin's like, "We're not leaving him," and then didn't even like question or get mad at the Chancellor for just being like, dude, what do you mean? We just tried to save you. You want him to die? Like, no. But I also think the chemistry between Anakin and Padme was much better.
Much
in
better.
this film.
Yeah.
Way better.
I mean, this takes place
she's like
after
pregnant
everything
in this
that
one,
happened.
though, but still.
This takes place after everything that happened in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Kind of. Very end.
Kind of. Clone Wars overlaps a tiny bit.
A little bit at the end.
Yeah.
In the last season. But yeah, I mean, he's at this point, I feel like he's developed a lot.
Yeah, he's a full-fledged Jedi at this point. I do
He finally beat Dooku. Good.
Yeah, he did finally beat Dooku. I think Mace Windu, kind of a jerk.
Yes, which I like.
He's a little jealous boy.
It takes some of the hate off Yoda a little bit.
Little bit. Yeah. I mean, he's like, we grant you the rank of master, but we do not. We will let you sit on the council, but we won't grant you the rank of master, which is just such a BM thing to do.
I mean, you gotta love Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, it's so disrespectful.
Yeah, which was another kind of thing that they just didn't want him. So they thought he was like too close to the Chancellor.
Yeah, they didn't trust him.
Yeah,
they didn't trust him. Which I think one thing this film does really well. This episode specifically is I think it does a really good job of showing us how much Anakin distrusts the Jedi through what they are doing, rather than just being like, I don't trust him, man.
Yeah, it's not like he's They
send him to spy on the Chancellor, somebody who's been almost like a father to him for many years. They let him on the council, but they don't grant him the rank of master, which is something he feels he very much deserves. They are not there for him when it comes to the Padme situation. Basically, I think the only advice he gets from Yoda is just like, let go, man. Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, like he heavily insinuates like I'm looking for help here, and Yoda just kind of blows him off. It's just like, you'll be fine. Just let go of your attachments.
Yeah, because he was like, what was it? I don't remember the exact line, but it was like, attachment leads to
fear, and fear leads to hate.
Hate leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side, or something like that.
Which, I mean, it happened.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it did happen. He was warning him.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything to help that. And then we got more of Anakin. More on Obi-Wan.
Yeah. The Obi-Wan, I did kind of like him going and trying to take care of Grievous.
Yes. Yeah. I like that.
That fight's fun. Grievous, I do feel like, has just been done so dirty in all of Star Wars.
Yes, Grievous had just kind of the same vibe as Maul did in the first movie.
Yeah,
where it's just he was just kind of there to be a villain.
Like, in the prequel films, you see him only in the third movie, and he's like, I don't know. I don't feel like he's that menacing because we don't see him doing anything other than like running away.
He runs away,
which he does a lot. And then in the Clone Wars TV show, this dude is the most passive guy. Oh my gosh. He like shows up, goes, oh, and then throws a droid in a direction and then runs to an escape pod every episode.
I love the look of him.
He looks
when I was a kid,
he looks great.
He was like, it was so cool.
Yeah.
I love the look.
I also love, I'm pretty sure his cough was like George Lucas coughing when he had some kind of, I don't know, what's it called? Yeah, I think it was like bronchitis or whatever.
Which I do not have.
No.
Let you know.
No, he's just dying of COVID, probably.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Grievous was good. Just kind of there to be.
There. He's cool.
I feel like he was also just there to just kind of give. I mean, yeah, he was there to so the Chancellor could bring Obi-Wan away from Anakin. When
he definitely needed Obi-Wan to not be there because Anakin then didn't have anybody to turn to.
Yeah, but I would have liked to see Grievous have a little more play in the war itself.
I mean, did he kill any Jedi in this in the movie?
In the movie,
ever? I'm pretty sure there's a deleted scene with Shaak Ti where he kills Shaak Ti.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But I have no idea. I don't think that's canon because it was a deleted scene.
Oh, I think Shaak Ti's died like 4 times.
She's died. She's died in multiple different ways. I actually think in one of the.
I don't know which one's true.
I have no idea. So like I think there's a scene in Order 66 of her getting killed like on Camino. I think there's one with her on the ship where the Chancellor's being held and Grievous does it. I think there's another one where she's on the holo projector and she just dies in there. I don't know, but she's died. We don't know how Shaak Ti died. We just know she's dead.
I mean, he has the lightsabers. We know he has killed Jedi,
but we haven't seen him do it. Like,
we
it'd
don't
be really
see
cool
his force.
to, even in like that opening sequence,
maybe a Jedi or two.
Maybe more than just not just Anakin and Obi-Wan get on that ship, but maybe they show up with like 3 or 4 other Jedi.
Yeah,
and they're walking up face the Chancellor, and then Grievous shows up and just takes 2 of them out.
I mean, I would have liked to see Grievous do a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, something else could happen.
Okay.
And it can still end up playing off the same way. Maybe Anakin and Obi-Wan have to run away and find another way to the Chancellor. Something. Okay. But I would have liked to see more of Grievous doing bad guy stuff. Yeah.
But we get to the big moment of the movie where Chancellor Palpatine's his whole plan
kind of comes to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. When Padme is hurt or is, well, she's scared obviously because the Order 66 is happening.
Yeah.
So she goes to find Anakin. And this is where I think they have really good dialogue between those two.
Yeah.
The best out of that we've seen. Between them.
George Lucas sure didn't write it. That's for sure.
has some other writers to
probably
do that.
Probably his wife. I don't know.
Some what?
It was probably his wife. I don't know though. I have no idea. I just know I'm pretty sure one of his wives. I don't know which.
Okay.
Handled a lot of stuff.
Okay.
When it came to like editing or.
Interesting.
I can't remember.
I don't know all of the background stories and lore behind.
Yeah.
Making of it, but yeah. I feel like this is really where we get to see.
This movie definitely has a lot, like way stronger dialogue, way stronger story, way better acting. It's much better on every level compared to especially the second movie, but both 1 and 2. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, we see. I mean, even before that stuff happened with Padme, I mean, he kills, Mace Windu.
Yeah,
sorta. I think they tag team Mace Windu.
Jedi Council really went about that in a wrong way.
Yes.
And another thing I find interesting is the Jedi Council is just like, he's a Sith, therefore they can just kill him. When in reality, like, they don't have any evidence necessarily of crimes being committed by the dude, other than he just admitted to being a Sith Lord.
I think the Jedi, I think that at that point, being a Sith is a crime, is the biggest crime.
To the Jedi, yeah. But in larger society,
no.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting at, though. Because, like, if they wanted to make sure he couldn't grab power, just going and killing him just makes it look like the Jedi assassinated the Sith Chancellor.
But leaving him alive to play his political games,
right?
He probably would have won.
I'm not too confident about that.
I think the Chancellor is way
I think if the Jedi
smart.
came out and said, Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord, he orchestrated this entire war to gain power and control over all the systems, you would have, I don't know, that would definitely stir things within the Republic.
Yeah.
And then definitely within the Separatists. We might even see like more people leave the Republic and join the Separatists. I'm not sure. But it definitely, I think that would have been a lot better way to go about it.
Yeah.
And then if they got good on the public opinion, then they could just go murk.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing of just the Jedi being,
or they can try and frame
wrong in some areas.
Yeah, they were scared. They let fear cloud their judgment.
Yep.
But
this
hypocrites,
is where,
all of them.
What?
I said hypocrites, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is where he crowns Anakin as Vader.
Yeah.
Right after that whole fight happens.
Yep.
Up in his office, or whatever.
Yep. Then he turns the Jedi into the bad guys who committed treason. Which, I mean, if you want to get real technical, they did. But he was also committing treason as well. So it's kind of like, no, not all of them, but the council.
Yeah, it makes sense that
those involved with the assassination.
Yes, but it also makes sense that the senators, all of them, would go along with it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the clones have to.
Yeah, the clones haven't got a choice.
But a few things was the Jedi lost. I mean, all the Jedi lost to clones. Now, I know they were outnumbered. They were surprised.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to seen more Jedi holding their ground for much longer.
Well, we know we know a lot of it escaped, and then we do see in Clone Wars Ahsoka taking on like a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's rare.
That is rare. And I
mean, we see a lot of.
She was literally trained for that specific thing to happen.
Yeah,
which I find funny. But that's
maybe Anakin saw some visions and.
Maybe, I don't know, but I do find it funny because Anakin was like, if you can take on Rex and the boys, you can handle anything.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to have 5-minute training montage of her just standing, surrounded, getting shot at, and trying to deflect all the bullets.
Yeah.
And then that exact thing happens to her. Which
is we don't have a whole lot of time.
Okay.
So let's real talk about Mustafar.
Mustafar's probably the best fight in Star Wars.
Yes.
Actually, I take that back. Second best fight in Star Wars.
What's the first?
First one is Obi-Wan versus Maul in Rebels.
Okay.
It's like 3 strokes, but it's my favorite. Best movie fight, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think Obi-Wan, Maul, and Phantom Menace was pretty good.
I'd say that's probably number 2 movie.
But yeah, this fight, is not just fighting. A lot of dialogue before and after.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the culmination of all 3 films.
Yep.
As well as everything set up in the original trilogy in terms of like how Darth Vader became Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and the choreography was great.
Mm-hmm.
It ended. I mean, we know how it ends. I mean, if you've seen the other movies, you know that they both live.
Yeah.
But Vader gets injured a lot.
Yep. Luke and Leia born. One thing that we mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, the watch order thing. If you have someone who has not watched Star Wars before and doesn't know hardly anything about it,
watching this.
Well, they should not be watching this. But other than that, you should do the watch order of episodes 4 and 5, and then don't do 6 yet, and then watch episodes 1 through 3, and then do 6.
I mean, that's a way to do it.
It's a good way to do it.
That's the best way.
So you don't get the reveal that Luke and Leia are related until episode 6. And also, if you do episode 5, then jump to episodes 1, 2, and 3, you get kind of like Vader reveals he's Luke's father, and it's almost like watching a flashback.
Okay,
I guess.
Of
like this is who Vader is.
Flashback.
Yeah, a very long flashback, but yeah.
I like that. I like how. I think if I could go back, that would probably be a pretty good viewing order.
Yeah, I think it's a good viewing order. There are other ones people do. I just don't have those ones memorized.
Yeah. You're watching chronological or anything.
I did like Yoda and Obi-Wan kind of returning to the temple, though I don't know how they got back on the planet. And just showed up. They just kind of showed up.
Just there was too much carnage going on.
Maybe that could be it. I mean, the clones definitely were in a Jedi killing mode, so I doubt it was locked down that much.
They still had to fight droids, right? During that,
no,
were they fighting Jedi and droids?
Yeah, wait for an Obi-Wan's area. Yeah, in all the areas actually. I know they just turned on their people in the middle of fights.
But I think they still had to deal with the droids.
They did, because the separatists weren't in on it or anything.
Yeah,
I mean they kind of were, but Dooku died, so they weren't anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the 3 movies. You look at the overall movie stories. I think they're just phenomenal. It's my favorite trilogy out of the Star Wars.
I don't know if I agree with phenomenal for all 3. I would say I would say
collective.
As a collective,
though. I think thinking of like the clones, the war that's brewing, that's about to happen. You got Chancellor playing, using a bunch of his pawns to do what he wants.
I did like seeing the politics of it.
You got Anakin dealing with the Jedi Council, but also dealing with his love life.
Yeah.
I think just all of that together just makes for, in my opinion, the best fantasy story I've ever seen.
I just thought of something.
Okay, quick.
Okay, so I saw this funny kind of almost like a meme about episode 2 on how like they want to kill Padme.
Yeah.
And so Dooku, Dooku is told to kill Padme by his master. So Dooku hires a bounty hunter to kill Padme, who hires a bounty hunter to kill Padme, who sends a droid with a bug to kill Padme. And that's the whole movie, how it happens. And so they're just going through the motions for each bounty hunter, and they unveil, one at a time until they get to Jango, and then figure out Dooku eventually. Yeah. I just thought that was funny. Yeah. But
that second movie I think had decent like mystery and espionage stuff going on.
Good mystery and stuff. The politics of all 3 movies I really like.
Yes.
Always love seeing the politics happen.
Politics of the Senate and all that was I love when that shows up in other Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
Other movies or
just seeing how like complicated it is behind the scenes when it comes to the laws and all that stuff. Overall for me, I would probably put Revenge of the Sith at my number 1.
Okay.
Phantom Menace at number 2, and Attack of the Clones at my number 3.
Yeah. Well, that's the same for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But the Revenge of the Sith, I don't know how close you are on those movies.
It's a pretty big gap.
Pretty big gap in between
all of them. Between all of them.
Okay. I can see that. For me, I would have Revenge of the Sith way up there.
Yeah.
Then I have the other 2, Phantom Menace over Attack of the Clones, but those 2 decently close. But a really big gap.
Yeah, no, the gap between a Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones isn't as big as the Revenge of the Sith and Phantom Menace, but it's still sizable.
Yeah. Okay, well, tune in. I don't know if we'll do it next week. We'll see.
We're still figuring out our airing schedule. Once we have one set,
Yeah, but tune in
cemented or whatever.
Next week for our next show. We're going to be talking about movies and hop over on KOUG Radio.
KOUGradio.org.
KOUGradio.org.
Chances are episodes will air either at 3 on Monday or 3 on Wednesday.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah.